Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today we will talk about 3 unsolved mysteries that even confuse historians. So, let's go to the video. History is a subject that many of us studied hard at school. We learned about significant historical events and important figures who have shaped our world. But there are also some mysteries from the past that even historians can't seem to solve. Here are 7 unsolved mysteries that even baffle historians. Let us know in the comments if you think you can solve any of them. Number 1. The mystery of Cleopatra's tomb. Picture this. The year is 30, BC Egypt. Once one of the greatest empires the world had ever known, is on the brink of collapse. At the heart of it all stands Cleopatra, the 7th to last pharaoh of Egypt. She was brilliant, powerful, and fiercely ambitious. She wasn't just a queen. She was a strategist, a diplomat, and a woman who held her throne against Rome, the most powerful empire of the time. Cleopatra's life reads like a drama filled with love, politics, war, and betrayal. She ruled Egypt alongside Julius Caesar, then Mark Antony, both of whom she loved and both of whom were among Rome's greatest leaders. Together with Antony, she dreamed of building an empire that could rival Rome itself. But fate had other plans. When Octavian, who would later become the first emperor of Rome, Augustus defeated Antony and Cleopatra. The dream ended in tragedy. Antony fell on his sword. Cleopatra, refusing to be paraded through the streets of Rome as a prisoner, is said to have taken her own life, perhaps, by the bite of a venomous asp, though some say poison or even assassination by Rome itself. And here's where the mystery begins. According to ancient writers, Cleopatra and Antony were buried together in a tomb of great splendor, somewhere in or near Alexandria. But here's the problem, nobody has ever found it. For over 2,000 years, Cleopatra's final resting place has remained a mystery. So where could the tomb of Egypt's last pharaoh be hiding? Some historians believe it lies deep beneath modern-day Alexandria. The city has changed dramatically since Cleopatra's time. Earthquakes, rising sea levels, and centuries of building have buried much of ancient Alexandria under both water and stone. If her tomb exists there, it could be lost beneath neighborhoods, roads, or even the sea itself. Others point to a site called Taposiris Magna, a temple complex just west of Alexandria. Archaeologists have uncovered tunnels, tombs, and treasures there, and some believe it may have been chosen by Cleopatra as her final resting place. In fact, recent discoveries of coins and statues resembling her have fueled the theory that this might be where she rests. Still, no definitive proof has been found. Then, of course, there are the more mysterious theories that her body was taken elsewhere. Hidden to protect it from desecration by Rome? Some even wonder if her tomb was deliberately concealed, so that she would never be found, preserving her legend for eternity. What makes Cleopatra's missing tomb so fascinating isn't just the mystery of where it is, but what it represents. If it were ever discovered, it could reveal not only her final resting place, but also priceless artifacts, treasures, and insights into one of the most famous rulers in history. It would be a discovery to rival King Tut's tomb. But until then, Cleopatra remains both a queen and a legend, her life etched in history, but her death shrouded in secrecy. So, the question remains, will we ever find the tomb of Cleopatra? Or is it destined to remain one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, hidden forever beneath the sands of Egypt? The next unsolved mystery, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart today. We're diving into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in aviation history, The disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Now, if you've never heard of her, Amelia Earhart wasn't just another pilot, she was a trailblazer. Born in 1897 in Atchison, Kansas. She grew up at a time when women weren't exactly encouraged to dream about flying airplanes. But Amelia was different. She was curious, adventurous, and had this fearless spirit that pushed her to break barriers. She became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932, a flight that made her an international celebrity. She was constantly in the headlines, not just for her flying skills, but also for challenging traditional gender roles. She believed women could do anything men could, and she lived her life proving exactly that. But Amelia wasn't content with just one big achievement. By the mid-1930s, she set her sights on her most ambitious goal yet, to circumnavigate the globe. Flying around the entire Earth was something very few pilots had ever attempted, and certainly no woman had ever done it before. In June of 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Newton, took off in a twin-engine Lockheed Electra. Their plan was to fly eastward, covering about 29,000 miles in total. The flight went smoothly at first. They passed South America, Africa, India, Southeast Asia. By July, they had covered nearly 22,000 miles. They were so close to the finish line, but on July 2nd, 1937, tragedy struck. Amelia and Fred were heading toward Howland Island, a tiny speck in the Pacific Ocean, literally just a couple miles long and nearly impossible to spot from the air. It was supposed to be a refueling stop, but as Amelia's plane got closer, radio operators on the island reported her transmissions were becoming frantic. She said she couldn't see the island, her fuel was running low, and navigation was proving difficult. Then suddenly, silence. That was the last anyone ever heard from Amelia Earhart. What happened next is still one of the biggest mysteries of the 20th century. The US Navy launched one of the largest search operations ever attempted at that time. Ships and planes combed thousands of square miles of ocean. But nothing, no wreckage, no bodies, no sign of the plane was ever found. Over the years, many theories have tried to explain what happened. The most widely accepted theory is the simplest one. That Amelia's plane simply ran out of fuel, crashed into the Pacific, and sank into the deep ocean. With miles of open water and no technology like GPS back then, it is easy to imagine how hard it would have been to find a tiny island from the sky. But of course, the mystery has fueled countless other theories. Some believe she might have crash-landed on a nearby island, such as Nicomaroro, and survived there for some time. In fact, pieces of aluminum and even old bones have been discovered there that some researchers claim could be linked to Amelia, though nothing has ever been conclusively proven. There's also a far more sensational theory that Amelia and Fred were captured by the Japanese military, who controlled parts of the Pacific at the time. According to this idea, she might have been seen as a spy and either executed or imprisoned. But again, there's no solid evidence to support this claim. And then there are even stranger ideas. From government cover-ups to wild suggestions that she assumed a new identity and lived out her life in secret. These theories make for great stories, but most historians agree they're unlikely. What's fascinating is how Amelia's disappearance has kept her legacy alive. She wasn't just a pilot, she was a symbol of courage, independence, and ambition. Even though her final flight ended in mystery, her life inspired countless women and men to chase their dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. To this day, expeditions still search for her plane. Advanced sonar, deep-sea robots, and new archaeological digs continue the hunt, but the Pacific is vast. It's possible her aircraft is sitting thousands of feet beneath the waves, hidden forever. And maybe that's why the story of Amelia Earhart endures. Because it's not just about solving a mystery, it's about celebrating a woman who dared to push boundaries, who wasn't afraid of failure, and whose disappearance only adds to the legend of her adventurous spirit. So, what do you think happened to Amelia Earhart? Did she crash into the ocean? Did she land on a deserted island? Or is there another explanation out there we haven't uncovered yet? Let me know your theories in the comments below. The last unsolved mystery. Imagine this. It's the late 1960s in Northern California. The summer of love had just ended. People were listening to the Beatles, protesting the Vietnam War, and living in a world full of change. But in the middle of that cultural shift, a shadow was lurking, a shadow that would terrify California for years to come. This shadow was the Zodiac Killer. He wasn't just any criminal. He was calculating, bold, and obsessed with leaving behind a legacy of fear. Between the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Zodiac Killer claimed responsibility for multiple murders, some confirmed, others suspected. What made him stand out wasn't just the killings themselves, but the way he taunted the police and the press. He sent letters, lots of them, directly to newspapers. And inside those letters were strange cryptograms, puzzles made up of letters and symbols. Some were solved, but others remain mysteries to this very day. And almost every letter was signed with the same chilly mark, a circle with a cross through it, the zodiac symbol. The first confirmed attacks happened in 1968 and 1969. Young couples sitting in cars late at night suddenly became targets. The killer would appear out of nowhere and in brutal fashion end their lives. But what really terrified people was what happened next, just days after these crimes. Newspapers would receive letters from someone claiming to be the killer. The letters contained details only the murderer would know. In one infamous message, he wrote, "This is the Zodiac speaking." That phrase alone was enough to make headlines across the country. He wasn't just killing people, he was playing a game with the entire state of California. Police were desperate to catch him. Detectives interviewed hundreds of suspects, tracked down leads, and even worked with cryptographers to decode his ciphers. Some codes were cracked quickly, revealing disturbing statements. Others took decades to solve. One was only cracked by amateur codebreakers in 2020, over 50 years later. Despite all the effort, the Zodiac was always one step ahead. He seemed to enjoy taunting authorities, claiming in his letters that he had killed as many as 37 people, though investigators only linked him to a handful of confirmed cases. Whether he exaggerated his body count or not, the effect was the same. Fear. People were terrified to go out at night. Over time, countless theories have popped up about who the Zodiac might have been. Some believed he was a loner with a military background, given his knowledge of weapons and codes. Others thought he was a highly intelligent man hiding in plain sight. Some even speculated that it wasn't he just one person, and all that the Zodiac was more than one killer. The suspects list has grown long over the decades. Names like Arthur Lee Allen, Richard Gajkowski, and even newer ones identified by online detectives have made headlines. But despite all the theories, no suspect has ever been definitively proven to be the Zodiac Killer. No arrests, no convictions, just questions. And that's what makes this case so haunting. The Zodiac wasn't just a murderer, he was a manipulator. He controlled the narrative, spread fear, and turned himself into a legend of crime. He wanted fame, and in a twisted way, he got it. Today, more than 50 years later, the case is still technically open. New technologies like DNA testing and digital forensics give some hope that one day, the Zodiac's identity might finally be revealed. But for now, the mystery remains unsolved. So, who was the Zodiac Killer? A genius criminal who vanished into the night. A disturbed man hiding in plain sight. Or someone we'll never, ever identify. One thing's for sure, the Zodiac Killer wanted to be remembered. And decades later, we're still talking about him. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, Dante, forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
Like and subscribe.